Happy Sabbath, church.
Happy Sabbath.
Oh man, I was so nervous sitting here, now seeing all you guys, I'm actually kind of happy. So first of all, I want to start off saying thank you to the whole church for letting me see my family, for helping me make that possible. It's nice seeing them. You know, you never know what you actually have until you lose it. Hopefully I see them soon again. They're going through a lot of struggles there, you know, everything's so different. Cops pull you over, they want money to let you go. School is so different, just everything. But I know that God is there for us, and He's not going to leave us there.
Amen.
Also, this is my first sermon in English, so just hang in there. So first, I want to start off with a story. It's a story about a kingdom, and there's a road that people have to cross to get to the city to sell their merchandise. And there's a rock. There's a rock on that road. And there was this one family. They were starving to death. They were almost dying. The mom tells the daughter, "Hey, you need to go to the city and take what we have left and sell it so we can eat." So she went and took all the merchandise. And on the road, she didn't see the rock. So it got bumpy and everything just fell to the ground. And she lost everything. And immediately, she was starting to tell God, "Why did you do this to me? Why did you do this to our family? We're literally going to die. This was our only chance to make it." She said, "Why are people so selfish and don't move this rock? Why didn't they move it so that someone else didn't have to go through the same thing I went?" So she started digging the rock and dug, and she got the rock out. And at the very bottom, she saw a bag. And in the bag, there was a note. It said, "This is to whom has moved the rock." And it was signed by the king. The king knew that whoever had taken their time out of the day to move that rock deserved a reward. And in the bag, there was gold coins. So at the end, she ended up getting more than what she was gonna get. And I think the biggest moral behind that story is that sometimes in life, it seems like things can't get worse, or maybe it is the worst. But God always has us, you know? He's got our back. The first person that comes to mind is Job. So let us turn our Bibles to Job 1, verse 1 through 3. And say amen when you have it. Please. Before we read the Holy Scripture, let's bow our heads and in a word of prayer. Dear Father, thank you for this day, for this opportunity you have given me. Let me say what you want me to say and not what I want to say. Bless everyone that's here. In Jesus' name. And let everyone use this in their everyday life. Let us understand it and use it and share it with other people. In Jesus' name, amen. Okay, so Job chapter 1, verse 1 through 3. It says, "There was a man in the land of Uz whose name was Job. And that man was blameless and upright, and the one who feared God and shunned evil. And 7 sons and 3 daughters were born to him. And his possessions were 7,000 sheep, 3,000 camels, 500 yoke of oxen, 500 female donkeys, and a very large household. so that this man was the greatest of all the people of the East. Job was like rich, and he had, he was wealthy. It's like nowadays, if I had like, a mansion, 3 stories high, I had the newest Mustang Camaro. I don't know which one you guys like. But he was wealthy, and the devil saw this, and the Lord had told the devil, he was like, have you seen my servant Job? How faithful he is? How he shuns evil? And the devil said, yeah, but that's because he has all this. Take it away from him, and he's going to curse you right to your face. So God said, okay, but just do not touch him. So the devil went, and everything, he lost all his sheep, camel. Fire from heaven came down and killed the sheep and the servants. And then the wind knocked down the walls of the house of where his sons were and his daughters. So they all died. And he was devastated. He just got up, tore his robe, and shaved his head. And he said to God, he said, naked I come from my mother's womb, and naked shall I return there. The Lord gave, and the Lord has taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. After all that had happened, he lost his kids, he lost all his wealth. He still didn't curse God. And the devil was not happy. He said, okay, Lord, you know what? Bone for bone, skin to skin. He said, if you touch him, he'll for sure curse you. So he said, okay, he's in your hands, but just spare his life. So Satan went and so the devil went and he gave Job painful boils from his foot to his head, and he was in pain, And his wife had told him, she said, just curse your God and die. And after all this, he still didn't give his back to God. He didn't curse him. He was still loyal. In the end, Job, he ended up even more wealthy. Like it says in Job 42, chapter 42, verse 12. It says here, now the Lord blessed the latter days of Job more than his beginning, for he had 14,000 sheep, 6,000 camels, 1,000 yoke of oxen, and 1,000 female donkeys. This is just, he had 7 sons, 3 kids, 7 sons and 3 daughters. And it says here that in all the land, there were no woman as beautiful as his daughters. That's just just saying. He ended up with so much better things. He had the double of the amount of what he started with. God blessed him because he stayed loyal. I don't know about you guys, but I don't know how many of us would have stayed loyal through losing all our wealth, losing family, losing everything we have. We have to stay loyal to him. Amen. The second person that comes to mind is Joseph. Joseph, as many as you guys know, his story. Everything started with dreams that he had. Nobody liked his dreams. It was basically them bowing down to him and his parents. So they all started disliking him because of that. And he was the favorite. His dad gave him a tunic full of colors and everything. He was, as you call it, spoiled. So eventually his brothers got tired of him. They said, you know what? We're going to get rid of him. So So they threw him in a pit. Thank you. And whenever they took him out, it was just to sell him away as a slave. He was sold by his own family to some people that weren't going to treat him right. So he got to Egypt, and he was bought by Potiphar, right? Potiphar. Okay, Potiphar, yes. And Potiphar ended up trusting him so much that he gave him control over so many things. I don't think I'd be trusted with even taking out the trash. But yeah, he was trusted a lot. And one day, Potiphar's wife, she was like, I'm going to get this man. You know, she wanted him to commit adultery. But Joseph still stayed faithful to his morals. He said no. And those women back then, they, like for a living, they took care of themselves. They looked so pretty. And he stayed faithful through all that. He said no to temptation. But even then, he was still thrown in jail because she took away his clothing and she had said that he had done stuff. So he was put in jail, and the jailkeeper said he saw that he was trustworthy, that he was a good man. So he said, okay, you're going to be in charge of this. He trusted him, even though he was in jail. And one day, two people went to the jail, the butler and the baker. They were put in there because of a missing jewelry piece, I think. There was a missing piece of the pharaoh. And in jail, they had a dream. They both had a dream. And Joseph interpreted the dreams for them. It was saying that the butler, he was going to live and he was going to continue to work for the pharaoh. But the baker, he was going to get hung. And when they both got out, that's what happened. It happened. But Joseph had told them, do not forget about me. Put in a good word for me. And until 2 years later, completely forgotten about, the butler said, oh, I remember. Because the king, the pharaoh, he had a dream. He had a dream about the 7 cows in the river. The ones that were big, healthy, and the ones that were skinny, scrawny. And he said that the thin, skinny cows had eaten the big cows. So this had him like worried. So he called Joseph, and Joseph explained the dream to the Pharaoh. He was like, okay, well, there's going to be famine for 7 years, and we have to get ready for it. So the Pharaoh was like, okay, yeah, you're in charge. You're going to take care of this. So Joseph, eventually, he saved all of Egypt through famine, and he even saved his own family. If all that hadn't happened, if he hadn't been sold as a slave, he wouldn't have saved the people of Egypt. God always has a plan for us, even if it seems like we're losing everything. If we lose our car, our house, the first thing we should say is, what now, God? What do you want me to do from here? What's this for? Not blame him and say, Jesus, why did you do this to me? Why does it have to be me? Why? That's not the question we should be asking the Lord, because he always has a plan for us. Look at how Joseph ended. He saved so many people, but look what he had to go through. But he still stayed faithful to God. Another person that stayed faithful is Daniel. I admire Daniel so much. He was like my favorite character when I was little. I'm like, man, I want to be like Daniel. Daniel went through so many tests. Whenever he was taken as a slave first, when he was so young, he was taken and they were going to feed him food that was Unclean. Yes, thank you. Pork, shrimp, all that stuff. The bad stuff. So he told them, he was like, you know what? Here, give me vegetables, water, give me my beans. And after 10 days, if we're not better than the other team, the other group of guys, then we'll eat what you have to give us. So 10 days went by, they just ate vegetables, water, they stayed healthy. And at the end of the period of 10 days, they were all so healthy. They looked way better than the other set of guys. So this is the first time, like for Daniel, that, how do I say it? That God was there for him. I think the second test that Daniel had was when the other people were jealous of him because he was, like a high rank in the kingdom. They were so jealous of him. They said to the king, they were like, King, make a law that states that we can only worship you because you are the only God. And they were just sucking up to him and stuff. So he said, okay, yeah, you're right. No, I'm a God. So he signed it. And Daniel, what did he do? Did he not pray? He prayed to God. He opened his windows so everybody could see him. And he prayed to Jesus. Some of us might say, yeah, I would have done that, but we would have maybe prayed, but it would have been with everything closed, no one could see us, and we would have prayed. But Daniel, he had the courage. He knew that God was there for him. He stayed faithful to him no matter what. He said, Lord, I know that I have to stay faithful to you and that you have me no matter what. So he opened those windows, everything, and he started praying, and they saw him. So they took him to the king, and the law stated that he had to be thrown in the lion's den. So he was thrown in the lion's den. When he was thrown in the lion's den, there were lions, okay? Well, yeah, it's lions then. And these lions must have been really hungry, like starving to death. And Daniel, he was saved by God. He sent an angel to save him so he wouldn't be eaten. And it's just, the biggest thing I get from Daniel is that if we're loyal to him and we give him, all of us, to him, he's going to help us no matter what, no matter what test we go through. But we also have to believe in ourselves. Like, for example, David. You guys know the story of David with Goliath. No one believed in him. He said, what? No. You're supposed to be cooking or something. You're supposed to be taking care of the sheep. And he was like, no. Because Goliath was threatening all of Israel. So God was with him. That's the most important thing we need. We need God with us, because without God, there's nothing. Like it says in the Bible, Philippians 4:13, with God I can do all of it because he strengthens me. David took down the giant, Goliath, and he saved his people. But David's life wasn't always the best. We all have mistakes. We were not perfect. We have to listen to what God is telling us to do, not what we want. I want this car, but what's going to be the consequence of this? Am I going to lose my wife, my kids? What's going to happen? We have to ask God first. We have to say, God, should I quit this? Should I stop this addiction? Should I stop doing this? We shouldn't just go look for help with someone else. We have to go to God first and say, God, what do you want me to do now? David, unfortunately, he didn't listen to this. When David was, older, he was king. He was looking outside, and he saw a beautiful woman. She was pleasant to look at. And he said, oh, wow, who is this? So he sent his messenger to go, stalk her. And he returned, and he said, this is Betsabe, the wife of Uriah. So he was like, married. And in the Bible, you guys know him as the person that sent his own death sentence. He delivered his own note saying to be killed. They were saying to put him in the spot where it was most dangerous and to leave him there so he could get killed. So he got killed. And he had Betsabe as his own now. But he killed someone to have that. I think the biggest thing we need to understand, all of us, including me, is that if the door is wide open, go for it. But if it's shut tight, it's not meant for you. If you're struggling to get into here and everything's so complicated, it's because God doesn't want you to go through that door. God is going to have doors wide open for you if He wants you to do something.
Amen.
David, he got her pregnant. And the prophet Nathan, thank you so much. Prophet Nathan went to him and he told him a story. He was like, there were two rich people. No, one rich and one poor. The rich had a lot of sheep, a lot of lambs. And the poor one only had one. And the rich guy, he took his only one he had. The only lamb he had. Even him having all these he had. And David was like, who was it? I'll take care of it. I'm going to pull up. You know? And Nathan was like, it was you. And David was devastated. You know? Nathan said, your baby is going to die because you disobeyed and you did the wrong thing. And he fasted during those days. He fasted and fasted. And when the baby was born, the baby was dead. He wasn't alive. And he was just, he was hurt about that. But that goes to show that there's consequences to going through doors that we force open that are tight. We have to go through the door that God wants us to go through. There's a story about a dog. This dog has owners, of course, but there's like a wooden pole and it's tied to there. And the dog can only go in a certain amount of a circle. But there's no grass. There's just dirt. And he's out there in the sun, no shade. It's just there. And this person always took that road to go to work. And he saw the dog. He said, man, he must be pretty hot because the dog wasn't even in good conditions. It was filthy. It had knots in its hair. His hair was just full of dust, dirt. It was like a street dog. So he felt bad for the dog. And he said, are they going to buy him something so he can stay in it when the winter comes? Because winter was close. And he said, you know what? I'm going to buy it for him. I'm going to buy him a little house, like an igloo, so he had shelter from everything. So he got it, and he knocked on the door. He was like to the owner, hey, so I bought this for the dog, just so he has some type of shelter. I think he could use it. He was like, yeah, okay, thank you. He kept walking to work every day, and the igloo was out there, but the dog wasn't in it. He stayed outside, and through the winter, he was still outside. The dog a year passed, and not one single day the dog had been in the igloo. And the person was confused, like, there's a house, like a little house for you right here. Why are you suffering out here when you can be in here? I think we're like the dog. We're suffering out in all this stuff, all the heat, the cold, all these temptations, and just
the stuff from the world, like addictions, gambling, stuff like that. We're suffering from all that. We're just suffering from losing our house, from losing family. God is the igloo. He can protect us from all that. He can help us. But sometimes we don't let Him. We need to let Him help us because He can provide the things that we need. Like for example, with the dog in the igloo, He provided it, but He didn't want it. We need to accept what God is giving us because He knows what is best for us. Amen. He knows that if He gives us this, it's not going to end well. So we need to take every single opportunity we get from God and use it. This preaching, I felt like I needed to say it. Mostly, I think a part of why I had to say this is because I'm going through some stuff too. During this week, some stuff happened, here and there. I'm like, remember what you're going to preach about. Everything has a reason. You have to say, what now, God? Not, why does this have to happen to me? I'm here alone without my parents, without my brothers. It's so different. I'm feeling things that I've never felt before. Everything's just a struggle. I always had my mom, I was doing my homework in the living room. I was just, focusing hard and stuff. And my mom would come up to me and say, "You look so smart." And just give me a massage, just relax me, and give me a hug. Now I don't have that. But God has me here for a purpose. I know He does. For example, I think this is the start to what God has planned for me. Amen. So I want to tell you guys that no matter what situation you guys are going through, no matter what it is, no matter if you're being hunted down by a gang, or you're losing your house, or you lost your job, or you lost a family member, God has a purpose for everything. He has a purpose for everything. He doesn't let us to die. As you've seen, Joseph, Job, Daniel, and David, He helped all of them. And those are only simple, small stories of them. There's so many more people in the Bible that have been helped by God. God helps us because we are His sons, His daughters, brothers, sisters. He died for us. Like they said, if there would have been just one person here on earth that was the only person that believed in Him, He would have still came and died for us. Because He has a plan for us. Each of us are worth something to Him. Maybe you can't see it right now, but one day you're going to be something big for God. Whether it's helping someone that was in a gang and converting him, or just saving someone's life. Amen. We all have a purpose, whether it's big or small. So we have to stay faithful to Him no matter what situation it is, because when we're in the church, we're going to have struggles. It's hard. We're going to have temptations for everything, but we have to stay faithful to Him. Amen. So today, I want you guys to go home and reflect on what's going on in your life, and make sure to ask God, what do you want me to do, God, from here? Don't go to someone else. Go to God. Say, God, what do you want me to do? What now? Not why, or say, what's going on here? We have to stay faithful to Him. Amen. So, remember, Philippians 4:13. Favorite Bible verse, first one I learned. With God, you can do anything because He strengthens you. Let's bow our heads in a word of prayer. Dear Father in heaven, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to say your word. Please let the people and me use this in our everyday life. Let us spread the word to everyone. Let us face the problems, the obstacles, the opportunities. Let us understand that you have a purpose for every single thing you do, that you don't leave us to die. We trust in you, God. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.